So let's go ahead and select on our perspective view, and let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Okay, so after we're looking at, one thing we could do to make this a little easier on ourselves, let's go ahead, I'm just going to go to my object mode, and I'm going to turn my edge facing on right over here just so that I can see the shape, but I also want to take my transparency and turn that off. So I'm just going to go to my attributes, to my material, and let's just make this a solid object. This way we can see a little bit better what we're working with. Okay, so we see the shape. The shape looks decent. The things that we start to notice that where we have some trouble is right around here on some transitions. We're trying to transition these planes, these shapes from one side to another. And to do that successfully, we need to work a little more in our perspective view here. So first thing we want to do is even out some of these edge loops. So I'm going to go back in, go to my vertex mode. I've still got symmetry turned on. And we're just trying to even some of that out. We can pull some of those shapes out a little bit more there. There we go. We're just going to pull these shapes out a little bit more. And with these two, we're just going to slide these guys over. Again, we're just evening the shape out so that this little plane transition from one angle to another works a little bit better for us. We're going to pull this out. Let's go ahead and select on these two and select on these two here. Go. There we go. So we can see that we're just trying to change that shape up a little bit. Now we're going to be connecting this shape with another shape, so we may be expanding this out and extruding into another one in a little bit, but for now that'll serve us well. Okay, the other thing that we notice is down here on the bottom of it. We can take this outside one and start to pull this in a little bit more just to strengthen up those angles a little bit so they're not quite as off. We can also get rid of this grid as we're working. So let's turn our grid off. There we go. I'm just going to pull these in just a little bit to even up the space in between. Alright, and kind of double check your angles on the other ones, make sure they look good. This one we're going to take it back out, going to take it down a little. There we go. Now on the back side of this guy, this is where we need to adjust it. If we're looking on the top view, you can see that this is the furthest point out that we want to go, right in here. We don't want to go any further than that. So what we need to do is work these corners, this little corner right in between these 2 points. We need to work that back in. So with that selected, let's just take it, grab it, and move it. And that's that thing that you want to get comfortable with, is that it is about just taking control of the geometry that's in the scene and just pushing and moving it where you need it to define the shape the way you want it. Because a lot of what you're going to do in the modeling is very intentional design. It's not just a random pull and push points, but you are intentionally trying to get a specific shape with the geometry that's there. I'm just defining these shapes. And if you take a little bit longer in this, more of this part of it, that's okay. This is where some experience and some where you begin looking a little more closely at the shape that you're working on. That's where this is going to be the differentiating factor. With the more experience you have, the more you'll see what you're trying to get. So this is basically, you can see we're softening up those shapes, like even the one that we did right here. It's flat right in here. We could leave it flat, move those in. We could go ahead and just make the decision just to pull that out a little bit. We can also push those out a little bit, push this out a little bit. As we push this out, we want to even up the space between here, so we're going to just push that out a little bit. We want to try to keep some of the geometry nice and even, the size of it as we go. Alright, so we've got a really good shape right here. It's a nice back end of a spider. I think we can be happy with that shape, and we can get ready to start moving on to the head of the spider and making a connection between the two parts. Set this into our object mode, and we'll start modeling on the head next.